Hello friends, this is your lecture video for Essay 2. For Essay 2, you will analyze the types of irony that can be found in Lori Moore's How to Become a Writer. There are three different types of irony in which you could discuss: verbal irony, situational irony, and or dramatic irony. Verbal irony occurs when a speaker's intention is the opposite of what he or she is saying. So if you choose verbal irony, which you're going to use one per body paragraph, so when you choose your verbal irony example, it should come from dialogue. Situational irony occurs when the actual result of a situation is totally different from what you'd expect the result to be. So when you're picking your situational irony example, it should be an event that happens in the story. Okay, and then dramatic irony occurs when the audience knows a key piece of information that a character does in the text that the character doesn't know. So that happens when, like when you're watching a scary movie and you know that the monster is behind the bushes, but the character doesn't. So dramatic irony always has to be about the audience. Situational irony is about an event in the story, and verbal irony is when somebody is speaking. You may choose to discuss one or all three, but you must include three examples in your essay. So you can do two verbal and one dramatic. You can do one of each. I don't care how you split that up. You have to have three examples, and then you also must cite what kind of irony it is, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the How to Write document. You should make sure that your structure follows what is on the assignment sheet. Cite any information found in the text, cited bibliographical information about the author, which is in the introduction, or cited definition you choose to use, both with in-text citations in MLA format and a works cited page. Those papers submitted without proper in-text citations or works cited pages will receive a grade of F. So please make sure that you've looked at the CVCC English's plagiarism guide before you submit your paper. Again, the types of irony are verbal, situational, and dramatic, what you could choose from. You can choose 1 to 3 below. You discuss one per body paragraph. The topic of this essay is to analyze the short story How to Become a Writer by Lori Moore to determine the theme of the text through the types of irony that are present throughout the text without summarizing the story. Your thesis stem is in the short story, comma, How to Become a Writer, comma, Lori Moore uses irony to prove. So I want to jump to the map really quick because that's what we're going to put in our map. So again, this is the stem that you're going to use. So you can copy that and paste it directly into the map. Now what comes next? Okay, so to prove, the next thing you're going to list is going to be the theme of the text. Okay, so theme of the text goes next, and then so in the short story How to Become a Writer, Lori Moore uses irony to prove blank leads to, causes, you can do anything in between here, leads to, and then blank. What goes in the second blank is the universal outcome. Now, if you look at my example on the How to Write document, which again is the most important document in this class and what you have to follow exactly to get a good grade. If you are not following this paragraph structure, you will never make above a 60. So please make sure that you are following directions exactly the way that I give them to you. Back to the thesis statement. In the short story, How to Become a Writer, Lori Moore uses irony to prove that one's identity, okay, so there's the theme of the text. Here are three different themes that you could choose from up here. Should not lie in their work, but in their passions, okay? So one's identity should not lie in their work, but in their passions. That's the universal outcome of the theme. The universal outcome is what everyone, not just what the characters in the text, not just what the author, but everyone in the universe, okay, would expect this outcome of this theme to be. So when we read things, the reason why we read as readers is that we connect with the text. We are able to use what we learn from the text to affect our own lives. So reading this text, How to Become a Writer, Lori Moore, she uses the irony to prove that your identity shouldn't be in your work, but in your passion. Okay, so when you're picking your theme, your universal outcome in your thesis statement should also be universal. Okay, if you have questions about that, please call or email me so that we can go over that together. Back to the description sheet. Remember to write this essay from a reader's perspective, not your own. This means that you cannot use the words I, me, we, you, your, us, or our anywhere in your paper. You're going to focus your essay with a strong thesis statement that shows the scope of the assignment as outlined above. If you do what I tell you to do in this thesis stem, you're going to do that fine. Essay should show rather than tell. You should use your critical voice to explain. Okay? Remember, you're focusing on why these things happen. Why does somebody say what they say? Why does an event occur? What is the result of the event? Why do those things happen? Why does the audience know the key information that the character doesn't? Why is the character blind to what the audience knows? In your analysis, you should be focusing on the why, not the what. You've already explained the what when you give the background for the evidence. So you need to move away from the what now and move on to the why. Okay, section is the longest and most detailed. Topic sentences for your body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 should validate and mirror the thesis statement. Again, if you go exactly by the how to write document, you're going to copy word for word this right here. Okay, so all of your topic sentences have already been written for you. Do not make up your own things. You're going to use this verbatim. Verbatim means word for word. Don't make up your own paragraphs. You're going to follow the exact structure that I've given to you. Okay, to create 3 body paragraphs, organize body paragraphs that focus on one main point each, and divide your essay into manageable sections for your readers. Okay, you should have effective examples and explanations for your 3 topic sentences, and this essay must include at least 2 sources with correlating in-text citations and a works cited page. So the first one is the author's biography, which occurs in the introduction, and then the next one comes from the text, which are in the 3 body paragraphs. Here is your introduction structure, and here is your paragraph structure. We're going to go over those in detail in a moment. Read through the reminders for your essays. Each paragraph, again, guys, should be a minimum of 8 to 10 sentences. A minimum is average. That means if you follow this, you're going to get a 70. Okay? If you want an above average grade, you have to write in above average way. So make sure that you're following directions. All of this stuff right here gets you a 70. So if you want above a 70, you have to go above and beyond what is on this piece of paper. The complete essay should be written in third-person point of view. It should also be in present tense. Do not write in past tense. You're reading this text today, so everything's happening right now. It's not happening in the past. Okay? Again, don't write with contractions. You should always follow MLA guidelines. The paper should be double-spaced with an info block and header. It should be typed with 1-inch margins, indent all your paragraphs, avoid spelling, mechanical and grammatical errors, etc., etc. Also, I want to mention this one more time. You should write your essay for an educated, informed audience who is not in this class and may not be familiar with terms or examples that you may use. That is why this in the paragraph, the give background context for the evidence is so important in your paragraphs, because if I've never read this text before, then you're going to have to give me a background evidence. If you walked in my office and you just said, nobody talks about Bruno, I would have no idea what you're telling me if I had not seen a movie or read a book and knew what the song or anything like that. You have got to provide good context for evidence before you introduce the quote. That is very important because, again, you're writing your essay for somebody who's not in this class and who hasn't read this text before. Okay, if you have questions about this, please email me. Here are some components of irony that you can look for in the text: sarcasm, ambiguity, subtlety, contradiction. All of these would be, when you find this in the text, they would be good examples of irony for you to use. Okay. So let's move on to the map. Let me show you what goes on the map. Again, you're going to start your thesis in the short story, comma, how to become a writer. Lori Moore uses irony to prove identity leads to something. Purpose leads to what? Passion causes what? You figure out, you read the story, you figure out what the best theme is for you to use and your universal outcome. You're going to have to prove this universal outcome in every single one of your paragraphs. That's what this number 4 is. So you make sure that you can find your universal outcome in the text as well. Okay, so for ironic event number 1, number 2, and number 3, please list what they are. So let's say verbal, and then you find one that's situational. I just spelled that all wrong. Situational. And then one that's dramatic. Okay, in the box, you're going to describe or explain, summarize the example in your own words. Okay, you're going to do that for each one of these. Okay, here you're going to put the quote from the text that proves the above. Okay, make sure that you have started the text as it says in the How to Write document. It says the text states, so make sure that that is exactly how you have it on your map. The text states, comma, open the quotation, put the quote that's there, and then Moore's last name is going to go in. Is going to go in parentheses as your in-text citation. Okay, now how is this ironic? This is where you have to prove to me that irony exists. Irony exists, okay, when there is a difference between what happens. I'm going to write that down for you. Irony exists when there is a difference between what is expected to happen than what really happens. So here are the things that you have to tell me. What was expected to happen or be said? Okay. Then tell me what happened, okay? What actually happens or is said. And then what is the difference between those two, okay? So all of this right here answers number 3 on your How to Write document. So if you go back to that How to Write document, it says this example is ironic because. Now explain why the example you have given is ironic. Think, what did the character audience expect to happen? What was the result and why? What did the result mean for the characters or the audience, and why was this a surprise? This section should be 3 to 5 sentences. So all of this on the map just starts number 3 only, okay? So this only proves number 3. If you want to go ahead and start on number 4 in your map and get some feedback on it, then you need to go back and look at the how to write document. It says this example is important to the theme of the text because it shows how. Now that points back to your thesis, where if you chose purpose, then you're going to show then in your map, how does the example show that purpose leads to whatever you put here, okay? Leads to or causes. Whatever you use at the end of your thesis statement is what's going to start number 4. So if you want to do 3, that's fine. You'll get credit for the entire map. But if you want to go ahead and start 4 and get a jump start on your outline, then you're going to want to put how does this example show or prove this end to your thesis statement, because that has to happen in every body paragraph as well. Okay, so that's your map in a nutshell. Again, we're going to go over the introduction structure. I'm going to do a separate video for this in just a second so that you can see exactly how to do that, okay? So for your examples, you can choose to highlight any types of irony that are listed on your assignment description sheet. No matter the type, you must define what type of irony is present in the topic sentences. So I'm going to minimize my screen right here because I want to also pull up the outline and show you how to transfer the information from the outline and how to use the how to write document at the same time. So if I have both of these up on my screen, your information for body paragraph should look like this, okay? So you should start, this is your topic sentence. So one example of irony in how to become a writer is, okay, and then let's just say we chose verbal irony, okay, and then when. Then you explain to me what happened in the story, okay, you summarize what happened. Then you give background information, okay, that this is telling me what's happening, what is happening in the story, in the text, what's going on, tell me. Then this is number 1 from the how to write document. This is number 2 from the how to write document. So you're going to put the text states, comma, and then you put in your, okay, you put in all of that information. Okay, analyze for meaning, that's number 3. So again, from your map, you're going to put in what you have started on your map for right here. Irony exists when there's a difference between what is expected and what expected to happen and what really happens. So in that section, you're going to just answer all of those questions right there in paragraph form. Let's go back. Okay. Connect the evidence from the text to the theme. So that's number 4. And then look, the conclusion, all you're going to do is cite the topic sentence in a new way. So what I like to do is I just like to say something like, because, and then describe what happens in the story, proves that verbal irony exists in the text. Period. Bing, bang, boom, done. That's all you got to do, okay? So make sure you have a conclusion on each of your paragraphs. You're going to do that 3 times. This document here tells you exactly what to put, where, how, and in what order. So follow this exactly. Otherwise, you cannot make above a 60. If you don't follow directions, I cannot even give you a passing grade. So make sure that you're following directions. Here's some more helpful tips. Write the full essay in present tense. Again, you're reading this today, so the character does the things today. So make sure you're using present tense. Do not use past tense verbs when you're writing about or analyzing a story. Do not use any first or second person pronouns. Think about how and why the character author makes the choices they do, not necessarily what they do. Every body paragraph should have at least one quote from the text with matching in-text citations to the works cited page. Again, that comes in every time you see this text evidence. You're going to have more here. Again right there, and again right there. Your other citation, because there are two, should be in the introduction, and I'm going to do a separate video on how that should look. And do not use in conclusion in your paper anywhere. You are not in 8th grade, so you should not be using in conclusion in the conclusion. It's the conclusion sentence. I already know it's the conclusion. It's the conclusion paragraph. I already know it's the conclusion. So you don't have to say in conclusion for me to know. The conclusion goes in the conclusion. So don't write in conclusion. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. This is just the basics of this essay. But if you are having trouble understanding what happens or how to do this, please let me know. You can call me, you can text me through Remind, or you can email me through your pirate mail. Okay. That's all I have for you today. I'm going to make a video on the introduction next, so please let me know if you have any questions.